26. The listing agent for a residential property can legally complete the entire real property transfer disclosure statement under no circumstances. B. When authorized in writing by the seller. C. When the seller lives in another state and has not seen the property. D. When the buyer gives the agent a written waiver. Correct answer is A. The Civil Code prohibits an agent from completing the form for the seller. 27. Most buyers of real property receive which of the following types of policies of title insurance? A. A standard policy. B. A leasehold policy to protect against the rights of tenants. C. A certificate of title. D. An auto policy. Correct answer is A. A standard policy is least expensive, and protects against most of the concerns that a buyer would have in purchasing the property. 28. When a buyer signs an exclusive authorization to locate a property, there is usually a clause in the form which allows the broker to A. incur expenses on behalf of the buyer, B. collect a commission whether a property is found or not, C. act exclusively for that buyer and no other buyer during the time limits of the agreement, D. represent other buyers during the time limits of the agreement. Correct answer is D. The form referred to usually allows the broker to represent other buyers at the same time. 29. Commingle has a meaning most completely opposite to a trust fund. B. Mingle. C. Neutral escrow depository. D. Segregate. Correct answer is D. To commingle means to mix. To segregate means to keep separate. Therefore, these two terms are opposites. 30. In the absence of court approval, which of the following acts may legally be taken by a minor or incompetent person? A. Acquire real property through gift or inheritance. B. Give a valid power of attorney to encumber real property. C. Sell the real property through a guardian. D. All of the above. Correct answer is A. A minor may receive title to real property without court intervention. If a guardian or power of attorney is desired, a competent court must approve that designation. 31. Which of the following represents a fraudulent misrepresentation by an agent? A. His representation is an obvious falsehood. B. His representation is made with a knowledge of the falsehood. C. His representation caused the aggrieved party to enter into the contract. D. All of the above. Correct answer is D. All of these are examples of fraudulent misrepresentations by an agent. 32. Who signs the promissory note and mortgage? Mortgager. B. Mortgagee. C. Lender. D. Beneficiary. Correct answer is A. The mortgager, borrower, signs the promissory note and mortgage. 33. All property is either real property or personal property. Which of the following would normally be considered real property? Natural growing vegetation. B. Trade fixtures. C. Lumber in a lumber yard. D. Crops which have been sold prior to harvest. Correct answer is A. Vegetation is real property. 34. Which of the following is an example of a freehold estate? The interest created by a trust deed. B. An estate at will. C. A life estate. D. A leasehold estate. Correct answer is C. A life estate is a freehold estate which is limited to someone's life. 35. The impairment of desirability and usefulness in real estate brought about by economic changes in the community is known as A. Over-improvement. B. Obsolescence. C. Economic life. D. Private restrictions. Correct answer is B. The impairment of desirability and usefulness in real estate brought about by economic changes in the community is known as obsolescence. 36. Upon discovering that a salesperson in his office was receiving a referral fee from a local lender for every real estate loan, the salesperson referred to the lender. The broker of record in that office took only two actions. He discharged the salesperson, and he warned all other salespersons in the office never to accept such fees. Based only on the foregoing, which of the following is most nearly correct? A. The salesperson appears to be guilty of commingling. B. While the canons of business ethics may have been bent, no cause for action by the commissioner exists. C. Since the broker was apparently unaware of the practice, only the salesperson can be disciplined. D. Both broker and salesperson may be subject to disciplinary action by the commissioner. Correct answer is D. The broker is responsible for the acts of the salespersons employed by the broker, and therefore both are subject to disciplinary action by the commissioner. 37. When a title company issues a California standard policy of title insurance, the policyholder is insured against loss which occurs because of unrecorded liens and encumbrances. B. The rights of parties in possession. C. Forgery in the chain of recorded title. D. A defect in the chain of title, already known by the insured prior to the issuance of the policy. Correct answer is C. A standard policy protects against forgery. Extended coverage would protect against unrecorded liens or rights of parties in possession. No policy protects against defects already known by the insured. 38. In order to operate a competitive yet profitable business, a real estate broker needs to be concerned with desk cost. Which of the following most nearly represents the correct way to calculate desk cost? A. Add the total of all the furniture for each salesperson. B. Calculate the gross annual profit for the firm, less the expenses, divided by the number of salespersons. C. Divide the total cost of rent, utilities, and advertising by the number of salespersons. D. Divide the total operating expenses of the firm, including salaries, rent, insurance, etc., by the number of salespersons. Correct answer is D. Desk cost is the total of the operating expenses of the firm, divided by the number of salespersons employed by that firm. It is the break-even amount each person must produce in gross commissions for the firm in order for the firm to stay in business. 39. Typically, when leasing real property, the commission of the leasing agent is based upon a percentage of a total annual rent collected during the first year of the lease. B. Total cash paid by the lessee at the time of the negotiation of the lease. C. Total rent collected over the term of the lease. D. None of the above. Correct answer is C. Usually, the commission of a leasing agent is figured on the total rent to be collected over the term of the lease. The commission can be any amount negotiated and specified in the employment contract. 40. Jesse, an unlicensed employee of a real estate broker, hands out door hanger flyers and makes telephone solicitations, seeking buyers and sellers. Under the real estate law, his activities are A. Unlawful for the broker. B. Commonly accepted behavior. C. Unethical for Jesse. D. Unlawful for both Jesse and the employing broker. Correct answer is D. While handing out door hanger flyers would not require a license, telephone solicitations would require a license. Both the broker and the salesperson have violated the real estate law. 41. In making the decision of whether or not to issue a title policy, the title insurance company would be most concerned with those documents that appear within A. Title guarantee. B. Title report. C. Chain of title. D. Title search. Correct answer is C. Documents would be discovered during a title search. The documents which are most significant would appear within the chain of title. 42. If an agent has a listing to sell real property, she must present all offers until a. escrow is opened, b. the buyer's loan is approved, c. the pest control inspection is completed, d. the close of escrow. Correct answer is D. The agent's fiduciary duties require her to present all offers until the sale is final close of escrow. 43. A person delegated in an instrument to act legally for another, in his stead, is known as which of the following? A fiduciary, b. principal, c. attorney in fact, d. power of attorney. Correct answer is C. This is a definition of an attorney in fact. Fiduciary refers to a relationship of trust established between people. A principal is one who appoints an agent. 44. A real estate salesperson's license has been suspended because money was paid out of the recovery account to a person who had a judgment against the salesperson. His license will not be reinstated until he a. pays the recovery account for the money it paid plus interest, b. pays the recovery account for half of the money plus interest, c. pays the person any amount not paid by the recovery account, d. pays the recovery account and the person all money due plus interest. Correct answer is A. The licensee must reimburse the recovery account for all of the money it paid out plus interest before the license can be reinstated. 45. Robert Willard borrowed money from Young and gave the lender a trust deed on 6 separate parcels of previously unencumbered real property that he owned. In such a circumstance, the trust deed would be regarded as A. an all-inclusive deed of trust, b. a purchase money deed of trust, c. a subordinated deed of trust, d. a blanket deed of trust. Correct answer is D. When more than one parcel is the security for the repayment of a loan, the trust deed is a blanket over all of the parcels, thus, the term blanket deed of trust. The loan is not purchase money because the funds were not used to purchase the property. 46. What is the best way to create an agency relationship? A. By actions, b. by being considerate, c. by written agreement, d. by cooperating with other brokers. Correct answer is C. Written agreements are the best way to create an agency relationship. 47. Turnkey projects are subdivisions that have been approved by the local authorities but not the state authorities, b. construction projects that are ready for occupancy, c. the interior areas of subdivisions, d. rural subdivisions. Correct answer is B. Construction projects which are ready for occupancy are called turnkey projects, because all that a tenant has to do is turn the key in the door and go in and he is ready for business. 48. Appraiser Irvine employed the land residual technique. The unknown factor and desired result would be A. net income, b. building value, c. land value, d. capitalization rate. Correct answer is C. In employing the land residual technique, the end result would be the land value. 49. A description of property that reads commencing on the south side of O Street, at a point 150 feet west of O and 85th Street running in a southwesterly direction, would be an example of which of the following land description methods? The recorded lot and block system, b. U.S. government range and township system, c. meets and bounds, d. U.S. coastal and geodetic survey. Correct answer is C. The question gives an example of the meets and bounds system of legal description. 50. In estimating the value of Raphael's single-family dwelling, broker Jones, the appraiser, uses the same monthly gross rent multiplier that has been computed for comparable properties in the same neighborhood. The comparable properties each have a rent amount of $300 monthly and recent selling prices of approximately $45,000. The owner's property is currently renting for $320 per month. The broker therefore would estimate the value of the property to be at $45,000, B. $48,000, C. $51,000, D. $54,000. Correct answer is B. 1. $45,000 comparable selling price divided by $300 monthly rent. Comparable properties equals 150 gross rent multiplier 2.150 gross rent multiplier x $320 actual rent equals $48,000 approximate value.